Hey guys, what's up? This is Gormizer, and welcome to Smite Strats Episode 3. Today I'm going to be covering the Hunter role, or the ADC as it is more commonly referred to. What this is this is the attack damage carry role. It is the person who plays in the duo lane with the support over here in this lane. And their goal is very similar to the solo's goal. And that is why I decided to cover these two first, is because they spend a lot of the game farming up gold. And that is a relatively easy role. However, the ADC role is not the easiest of all of them. Once you get comfortable with it, it is relatively easier than some of the others, but I don't want to start any fights on which role is harder. So first I'm going to start talking about the duo lane a little bit. So first off, you have the length up to the towers from the Phoenixes. That's about the same as the solo side, as you can see. However, you'll see that the two towers here are definitely closer than the two towers over here. That's because what we like to call this is the short lane, and this is the long lane. Now, the reason this is called the long lane is because the two towers, being much farther apart, you can't see your opponent at the base of their tower. They have to move up a little bit for you to see them. And the short lane, the opposite so. Now, the reason that the duo goes to the long lane instead of the short lane is because the long lane is more suited, since you can't see your opponent at all times, it's more suited for two people to be there. That way you're safe in the event of they push up harder than you do. However, splitting it down to just the ADC role, your job at the beginning of the game, if you're on the Chaos side, you will grab mid camps, go to blue buff. Then from blue buff, you'll come to lane. Now, if you're on the blue side of the map, you and your support will grab blue together, and then you'll both go into lane. Now, if you are on the blue side, you will push up a little harder because you will get there before the Chaos side over here. However, you still need to be careful based on the gods they are playing, because there are several gods who can come up into lane, clear this relatively fast, and start attacking you before your next wave of minions can walk up. However, splitting it back down just to the Hunter role, after you get in the lane, it is possible for the first few minutes that it will be you and your support, and you will just be trying to farm gold by killing all of the minions before you try to outpush them by killing the minions faster, but without jeopardizing your positioning. Now, one of the hardest things about Smite as the ADC is that you are all about positioning. One step in the wrong direction can mean your life. However, one step in the right direction can also mean their life, and that is your goal throughout the entire game, is to be in the right spot at the right time. There will be times while in lane that your support will leave. If your support leaves and their support does not leave, you need to be passive, because that means they have 2 versus your 1. If their support leaves and your support doesn't, then you can definitely, if they try to stay aggressive, move in on them. However, I will go over that if anybody in your role walks off, then you should probably follow. But that's a different story. A lot of the time, for the early game, the ADC or Hunter, usually it's a Hunter played in the ADC role, however it doesn't have to be, they will spend a lot of time doing the same thing that the solo lane does, and they'll be farming gold. So your minions will walk up, and then there will be a fight of minions in the middle with the minions from this side, and whoever clears faster pushes up. So let's say this wave comes up, you clear faster, then your wave keeps walking and you can push the tower. And like all of the other lanes, you do want to push your tower first. You want to get the enemy tower before they can get yours. However, this lane is also very viable to 2v2 fights, since it's the Hunter or the ADC and the support, and it is very possible that one of you will die. If one of you is to die, it is usually preferred that the support dies, although sometimes that is not actually a preference. However, the ADC is supposed to do way more damage, they are more reliable for team fights, and they are definitely a role that you want to keep alive during the early game, because during the early games when the gold that they have is most important. A lot of the ADCs will build stacking items, which means that every minion you kill, so let's say you have the wave of minions, you wipe that out, will give you a number to this item, and then based on the number you have, it will give you a certain buff. But that's more of an item lore and not the role. So I'm going to switch back. What else does the ADC do other than farm? Well, as you know, other people will rotate into the jungle, so the ADC can follow up. Let's say if the blue side ADC does that, the red side ADC can then do that, and then follow them. A lot of the ADCs need the blue buff. The support player will help you get the blue buff, but the ADC is the one who should get this because they need the mana regen to help clear the wave. Pushing farther into the jungle, late game, and I mean late game, if you have lifesteal, the ADC can do the entire Gold Fury by themselves. It is definitely something you want to make sure that there's no other ward, like if there's a ward placement by the enemy team to show that you are doing the Gold Fury, it is definitely going to give you away and they could collapse on you. However, late game, so when I say late game, I mean level 20 usually, maybe 18, 19. But you can definitely solo the Gold Fury for your team. Other things the ADC does is it mainly, their job is to do damage. They need to out-damage everybody else on the other team. And so they are attack-based, auto-attack-based, which is your basic attacks, and not very ability-heavy, except for clearing waves. When it comes to clearing waves, they clear them just as well as any mage at level 9, but you still have to get there. So recommendations, if you are going to be playing ADC, make sure that you have practiced hitting basic attacks. If you cannot hit any basic attacks, I do not recommend starting out with an ADC. It's usually a physical role, and sometimes magical, but it is always based on how high is your auto attack. If your auto attack damage is too low, or you just don't hit enough, then you usually will not be winning your lane. Another thing about ADC, if you are playing ADC and you are auto attacking and you miss 3, if you miss 3 in a row, stop auto attacking and then reset, because what that will do is that allows you the time to recuperate from the misses and allow you to re-aim, and you get a little bit of movement speed back because every basic attack slows you down. Things that the ADC does in lane, they farm, they try to take the towers. They can usually, if you get a wave into the tower, you can take the tower. Early game, so for the first tower, it will take maybe 2 waves, sometimes 3, to get the first tower down. Late game, when you're pushing the second tower or the Phoenix up there, you will definitely be able to take it probably 1 wave, 1.5. Anyway, guys, that's the cover of ADC. I'm going to go ahead and end this video on a positive note, saying that while it is the hardest role because of skill, it is one of the easiest roles because of how much they have to do. And so it's a very versatile role. It is definitely something you have to spend some time on, but don't worry if you can't get it at first. It is not the easiest role, but it's also not the hardest. Anyway, guys, I will talk to you next week in the next episode of Smite Strats. Take care.